We got to break Cereba up. Cereba is a cartel.
We have to own our grid because we paid for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it. The fuel companies, you better buckle up too. Jackson Point pipeline have to be reverted back to the ownership of the country. Oh, Mario, you can't tell them how to operate their business. Well, yes, we can. Having this idea that you're going to impose what's best because of what the law tells you can do will cause an uprising in this country that you've never seen before. My children are going to be saddled with the debt of a billionaire so that he can have his name printed on everything we got around here. Because, let me tell you something, this is Dart Island.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Word of Mouth. Today is the 25th of March, and certainly got the pleasure of having in the studio Minister Anglin for the District of West Bay. And there's a lot of stuff been going on in government, a lot of talk and a lot of this. And, there's a lot of, grape tree conversations about different policies and whatnot. Me personally would like to see government make the decisions, bite the bullet. Not everything got to be public conversation, but that's just Mario's opinion. But you know how hard it is to track down ministers because whether we want to believe it or not, they're extremely busy. So sometimes they don't answer your call or they don't respond right away, not because they're ignoring you, it's because truthfully, I don't envy them. I wouldn't want to be them. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes because it's a tremendous responsibility. So I understand when they don't get back to you right away, but to get a minister to come into a studio, to have a conversation, to talk about some of the things that they're in charge of, such as scholarships and school and education, which is education is the cornerstone of any country's survival. So having that portfolio, I tell you, Raleigh, forgive me for calling you Raleigh, but I think to have that portfolio, it's a tremendous task in itself to take on something so important because it's the development of our future, not just our children. Mm-hmm. So I would really be I wouldn't be fair to any minister who takes that on by having anything negative at all to say. And when I say that is because people don't realize how important words are, especially when you have a followership and a platform to say it in the absence of people who you're talking about. So we take great pleasure and we appreciate tremendously you taking the time to come into the studio.
Ramar, good to be here again.
Yeah, man.
Good to be here again. As I said to you a couple of days ago, definitely gonna make sure that I'm on more often.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have encouraged all of my colleagues to do, communicate. Right? If there's one thing I learned between 2009 2013, people are not necessarily going to agree with every minute detail of what you do. Sometimes you have to take people kicking and screaming. Let me give you an example. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, and when I tell teachers now, a lot of them are in shock when I'm having my meetings across school campuses, which we've done 6 now, wow. By the way. So we got a few more to go, but we've got 6 done. When I tell them how heavily criticized I was when I started CIFEC, the Cayman Islands Further Education Center.
Right.
Giving young people second chances, introducing to the country, because I explained this back then, that was supposed to have led the way to us creating our national tech voc institution, trade school, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people conjure up a lot of things in their mind. Bottom line is about the trades and how you train young people. And they're shocked. They're shocked that I was criticized at the time. This is why you got to take bold decisions.
Right.
You can't wait to try and get every single person to see the vision, right? But to your point, the Ministry of Education, because of the amount of times that I came on, back then Rooster was the big talk show.
It was,
It was a big talk show. And because I was constantly, there wasn't a month that passed that I wasn't on that talk show. It led to this campaign in 2025 with wherever I landed politically, I was pretty much guaranteed a ministry. I'm not bragging, but the public,
Yeah.
because of adults had remembered and by then could measure my success back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Because now 12 years later, people were like, okay, we didn't necessarily buy sci-fi back then, but now we see the vision.
And understand it. Yeah.
Back then, when I said the number one priority was going to be early childhood care and education, and we formed a unit in the ministry, people were like, well, why are you doing that? Early age curriculum, why are you doing that? 14 million spent across primary schools and reintroduced reception. You think it's a coincidence that this year's results at Clifton Humber was the best in the school's history? 12 years later? That's how long you take to go through the system.
Yeah.
A lot of the work that we do now in education, you don't necessarily see the results right away.
That is true.
We're not, and I'm not trying to criticize any other ministry, but we're not a ministry that's delivering discrete events
Right.
where you can look at and say, I had a good time last night and I felt good about myself, chair, and the ministry did a good job. We're not delivering physical things where once it's completed, you get the chairs and you can say, good job.
Yeah.
We're in a ministry where you are about changing lives.
Yeah.
And changing lives starts at the foundation. Whether people want to believe it or not.
That's where it begins. 100%.
0 to 1,000 days of a human's life, and this isn't me saying this, is research that have proven this. Between day 0, the day you're born, and the day 1,000, so around 3 years old, pretty much decides your life chances. If that's not scary and shouldn't cause most parents to say, man, I need to pay attention,
Yeah.
then nothing will. Right? And so you're right. This is a massive responsibility, massively important portfolio. Finance is very important as well, because
absolutely.
we got to balance the budget. We
It
got
goes
to
hand
make
in
money.
hand. Yeah.
We got to make the money.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another area of the ministry that has been overlooked for too long: economic development.
That is true.
It's been thrown in to the ministry for a long time, and people just concentrate on, did you balance the budget?
Yeah.
Versus saying, how are we going to try to structure, and in where we're at, in my opinion, restructure our economy.
Yeah.
Because there's big chunks of our economy that right now are not working for Cayman, not working for Caymanians, but that's going to be our next show. Next show, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about some committees that I'm going to be rolling out next week, God's willing.
That would be.
So I want to come on in about 2 weeks' time. Next week is Easter. So there's going to be some downtime.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
the following week, God's willing, I'll be back, right, in about 2 weeks' time. So you can go ahead and promote that from now.
No, I will do that.
I'll be back in 2 weeks from today. I think that's around the 7th, 8th of March, somewhere around there.
6th is the Monday, which is Easter Monday. So probably like that, Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday.
Okay.
I want to stick to Wednesday because Wednesday is a little more predictable for me.
Yeah, all right. Well, sound good. We'll put that on the calendar
But,
for sure.
but getting back to some of the things that the two of us talked about offline that I just didn't even have a lot of time to really connect for the two of us to talk through a lot of stuff for today.
Right.
I said to you I wanted to talk about scholarships for 2 reasons. As you know, Mario, we have, from a national standpoint, we have a program that don't exist in any country in the world of any real size, where every child who meets the grade criteria
Right.
for post-secondary A-level education and scholarships all get a scholarship,
Wow.
right? Every child gets funded. That's why the scholarship program, when I demitted office, when I took over in 2009, scholarships were right around 6.5 million.
Right.
Do you know what we just appropriated?
I remember that.
$32 million we just appropriated.
Really? So
$32 million.
would I mean, obviously, it's a good thing that we can find the funding to further educate our future, right? My question to that is, while it's on the top of my head, would you think that is because we're having more success academically,
Absolutely.
along obviously with
Absolutely.
population growth, and that's a positive. That's a positive all around.
Huge positive story.
Wow.
Right? Huge positive story, and we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk enough about the big successes that is coming to public education. Now, listen, I'm not going to be shy about the work that I did in 2009 to 2013.
No, you can't be.
Because as far as I'm concerned, that is why there was such a pull, if you can remember, during the campaign, where people were saying, Ralston looks strong, he looks like going to get elected, he has to be the next education
Well,
minister.
that
came
was
from the public.
that was a
not me.
foregone decision in the minds of the public, I can tell you.
And Mario, that was because of my work.
Yeah, yeah.
Not because people looked on and said, oh, we just like Ralston. This was about, they remembered 2009 to 13,
Exactly.
the great foundational work that was done.
Well, when you mention that it's been 12 years since you introduced the SciFec, right? What a lot of people don't really grasp is if you could hit the pause button, fix everything on the island without any interference, and then hit play, let it run for 5 years before anybody get involved, where it starts to show some fruition, people would be more receptive to that, but you don't have that option. So you have to make the tough decision at that moment, and now 12 years later we start to reap the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And people can understand that it was a good decision, because if we had not made that decision, we might not be seeing these results that we're seeing today. So.
Listen, first of all, we wouldn't, because first of all, there's a number of young people who, through that second chance to go back and resit math or English, does get the opportunity to then get a scholarship. Because remember, to get a scholarship, you have to have 5 level 2 passes, including math and English.
Right.
You have to have math and English, both of them, which is those are the foundational subjects.
Right.
That's what you need to get accepted to a good A-level college if you're
Right.
going to British system. That's what you need if you're going to go straight on to the dual entry or associates program at UCCI. Right?
Right.
Critically important work. And the reason I wanted to talk about scholarships is I wanted to celebrate with the country the amount of growth that we've seen.
Right.
Because that's to be celebrated.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about, though, Mario, and this is something that even when I'm not on, in case you get comments or what have you,
Well, we will be getting them, trust me.
we take the view nationally, quite rightly, that everybody gets funding. It's equal funding.
Right.
So in other words, I can't take 10 children who may attend a US university and say, your school is costing you 80,000. Let me give you 80,000, every one of you, because then what's going to happen to everybody else?
Yeah.
Everybody gets at a minimum 30,000 US, CI dollars.
Right.
CI dollars. If you're in a priority area like education, you get 35,000.
Right. Okay.
Okay? CI dollars per annum. The thing that I wanted to make sure that we start to get messaging out around, because I'm going to be doing a lot more front facing with scholarship recipients. I'm going to start holding some, like this time around when we do the grants, I'm going to actually have a huge town hall Zoom meeting. Talking directly to our students. Talking about expectations, talking about support, talking about the fact that it's about their future, but there's accountability.
Right.
You're getting public funding. Don't squander it. You got to make your grades.
I totally agree.
But I also want to remind parents, education is about choices.
Right.
For any parent who chooses to send their child to the United States, they have to make other provisions for funding. Let me give you an example that might shock you. My middle daughter just graduated from Cambridge University in July 5th, 2025. Approximately $35,000 a year for one of the best universities in the world. It's always ranked in the top 5.
Yeah, it is. It is. Cambridge is up there.
If you then go to Harvard, another top 5 school, it's over 150,000.
Yeah, it's insane.
So
the difference, yeah.
That's options. Those are choices.
Yeah.
Those are choices, Mario, and life is about choices. So one of the key points I want to ensure that the public remembers is that we have to support all of our students.
Yeah.
But bottom line is, any parent and child who are going on to study in the US have to understand that you more than likely are going to have to either take out a student loan,
right,
or have a parent that can fund it.
They can fund it.
And that difference can be tremendous. Tremendous. Bottom line is, we have a huge benefit of being British citizens.
Yeah. So we can.
So we get home fees.
Exactly.
We get home fees,
and we should take more advantage of that.
That's the message that I want to send.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Don't get me wrong. Now let me people that know me know how I operate. I went to a U.S. university.
Right.
Now, back then, we didn't have home fees. So they really,
Yeah, true.
looking on, it was like, why, this is how I looked at it. Why would I go to a UK university and pay just as much when I could go to North America, which is much more travel-wise,
Yeah.
culture-wise, was easier. But now there's a huge incentive to go to the UK.
Well,
Huge.
Well, my question is then, and because I want to be clear, I want to be very clear on what you're saying in regards to the U.S. schools versus the UK schools. So if a student chooses to go to the U.S., they have to cover their own costs, meaning,
No, so we do the 30,000.
and then anything above that, they would have to cover. I get it. So, because you do have some schools in the U.S. that 30,000 can probably carry through, but not no Ivy League school.
Mario,
I don't.
let me
Well,
let me give you an example.
yeah, please, because
My
I
old
want the
school-
audience to understand this.
my alma mater, Ohio
Oh,
State,
Yeah,
which I know you don't like hearing that.
but it's all right. Go ahead.
But my alma mater, back in the day, my $15,000 a year scholarship from Price Waterhouse covered me. The government scholarship today can't cover you.
Really?
No.
Wow.
There is very few U.S. universities that you can find without that institution giving you some sort of grant or scholarship
Or-
by being an international student.
Right.
Because what happens is, let me pause. That's a trick that a lot of universities in the States play. Because Cayman is known for having such a robust scholarship program,
Yeah.
a lot of universities, knowing that students would struggle to come up with the difference, because most of them have grants and programs for international students. So
Right.
they don't just do it because
Right.
they're such big institutions and get so many students coming from overseas.
From all over, yeah.
They have specific grants set up for differing.
To subsidize
Right.
what they're getting from the yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So what happens is, that's how a number of Caymanians are actually surviving in some U.S. schools. I know of one student, for example, that was getting $15,000 a year in grants and subsidies from the institution,
Really?
but they still had to take out around $5,000 a year in a student loan
Yeah.
because they won 50 something thousand is what they were paying.
I had no idea that it was such a big difference because
It's huge.
It's crazy because I think it's important that information is publicized as much as possible because I think a lot of, like you said, the convenience of travel and the the
Yes.
striking distance to Cayman, especially University of Miami, which is a good school, but I can't imagine what that would cost because
Oh,
30,000.
that always used to be one of the more expensive schools.
Exactly, that 30,000 off the table when it comes to that.
That always was a
No,
small.
there is, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate for just a second.
Sure.
Because, and the reason why I say that is because I've heard people ask me, and I've had conversations with individuals, especially when it comes to scholarships. So, the eligibility, not just that you're academically, on par with the requirements of the scholarship office, but who in Cayman qualifies for a government scholarship?
Caymanian child.
A Caymanian child, and that's it.
That's it.
It don't go no further than there.
No.
Because
No.
you
You can't be on PR or anything else.
good, and this is why.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we need to invest in our people.
Yeah,
we
no.
don't mind investing in other people, but just not as priority over ours.
What has happened, Mario, and this has happened across our island. Look, but we have to repeat it.
Yeah,
Our population has grown tremendously with multi-generational Caymanians.
Yeah.
You can go
Absolutely.
back generations. But we've had, in terms of our permanent population, the growth has been tremendous of
Yeah.
persons who now have Caymanian status. So what happens
Yeah.
is, just like DFA, or people used to call it, it's the Department of Financial Assistance. I'm even forgetting the old name of it.
yeah. I can't remember it either, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Where you go if you're unemployed, you need
yeah.
assistance, right?
Right.
And that sort of thing. And you need permanent financial or temporary financial assistance.
Yeah,
You hear a lot of Caymanians say, "Oh, non-Caymanians are getting service."
Yeah.
And that's not the case. It's not the case that any non-Caymanian gets a scholarship. What happens is, a lot of us as Caymanians look on and see a child who was born here to a person who's gained Caymanian status
Status.
through grant, and look on and just assume they're not
Yeah.
Caymanian,
Yeah, because they look different in most cases.
and sometimes sound very different.
And sound very different.
But they have Caymanian status. So once
Yeah.
you're legally Caymanian,
then it's
then all those services accrue to you. And listen, we have two choices as adults. We either embrace the new Cayman and make it the great island that we still are, and the greater island that we can build upon,
yeah.
or we complain. I'd rather do the building, Mario.
So would I, but I just think, and again, I'm not being difficult. I totally agree with you 100%, but I still think that we haven't done a good job, not this government or any other government, as an island on a whole, right? We haven't done a good enough job of explaining and identifying what a Caymanian is. Hence the reason why we have all these misconceptions.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like right now,
Sure.
there is this huge misconception, and I'm not trying to get off topic, because this is very critical, especially when it comes to scholarships, when it comes to government assistance, when it comes to these things. People are under this assumption that, oh well, that person is foreign, they don't deserve to be on it. When truthfully, they probably got the status, and it might even be their parents. They might be status holders themselves. But at the end of the day, I think that this whole ideology of what a Caymanian is such a huge table talk conversation.
Sure.
And when we go out and we pass $30-something million of scholarships, then you have that person who's ill-advised that's saying, oh well, yeah, so all them foreign people can get them scholarships. No, that's why it's 32 million. That's why I asked the question if it was because we were eligible, because we're academically more up to par now than we ever was before.
And it's a huge mix, right? It's a huge mix of
It is.
multi-generational Caymanians doing a
Yes.
lot better in schools and first-generation Caymanians. My point is,
Yeah.
and I get what you're saying, you attended a number of my meetings during the campaign, Mario.
Yeah.
You heard how much I pounded that whole
did.
manifesto as it related to immigration. And
Yeah.
we don't need to revisit that today,
No.
but the reality that we have in front of us is that, yes, we have to do a better job every
Yes.
day of continuing to celebrate who we are and push our culture.
And
there's no doubt about it. And we've done
Absolutely.
a poor job at that over the years.
Yeah.
And we have to embrace that as a community. As you said, this is not about any one government.
No.
This is about us as a community.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, the one thing that there's a few people that have looked at our immigration reform that have said is, and I take that on board, is that they do still want us, as we go to phase 2, to differentiate.
Right.
So back in the day, Bermuda used to call belongers and person of Bermudan status.
Yeah.
Now, we went back and called the law the Caymanian Protection Law. I wasn't a big fan of what you call a law, because here's my view. What's contained in the law and how you enforce it, that's what's important.
That's what's important, yeah. And
What you call it isn't what's important. It's what's in it and how you enforce. But the fact is, we have really built, or starting to build, a great system around our tertiary. The rest of the funding that's allocated to my ministry, which is around another 2+ million, that's where it comes up to closer to 35 million, are for grants. So we also do, and this is a area that we're going to publicize a lot more. A lot of people don't realize how many grants we give for TechVoc.
yeah, I was going to ask what type of grants and for.
Oh yeah,
for
we
what?
got over $2 million in
Really?
available funding, and young people apply for this all the time. So
Oh, I
if a
didn't know.
person finds an approved program and they want to do,
And they want to go and partake,
that's right,
they can apply under that program.
that's right.
That's amazing though. That need to be publicized.
Now it's on the ministry's website, but as you know, a website and is one thing. You gotta get the information out to the public.
we got it. That's why these sort of platforms are critical, because I didn't know that, and I consider myself informed to some degree, right?
And in fact, let me tell you the other thing that we do, and I got a bump up in that funding in this year's budget, in the next 2-year budget as well. We also do special education needs scholarships.
Really?
So right now, what we do is, if we have a child whose complexities around their special needs are such that we have to send them, let's say, to Hope academy.
Right, that takes care of those special needs.
Right.
They'll have a scholarship available
Yes.
to allow them to be able to take
Yeah.
advantage of those services.
Right.
And that is key because I remember when I was in high school and I graduated in 90. Well, I didn't graduate, but I left in 90. I despised special aid only because special ed was a group of kids that needed extra help that didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember delivering the pizza to the room. So and Miss Jones, she was the math teacher. I used to help her tutor math, and she used to send me in there. And I was like saying to myself, well, these kids seem like they need more help than the regular kids. Why they not getting it? Why they being pent up in these rooms?
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was from way back.
Yeah, Hugh, listen, we've grown by leaps and bounds and improved by leaps and
certainly have,
bounds
bro.
around a number of those types of areas. But if we draw back to the whole scholarships scenario, my key message to parents is to think and talk to your young people very carefully and clearly
Exactly.
about where you're going to take up your tertiary
Yeah.
education, whether it's going to be the UK or whether it's going to be the US.
And
Now, I take one thing seriously and I take it on board, and I told the team that we are going to do some additional work around support for UK-based students.
yeah,
What do I mean by that? The one thing that is this, that forget about the travel time. I'll never forget what my O-level geography teacher used to say. He was an Englishman, Mr. Mike Sprague. Mr. Sprague used to say, it only rains in England twice a year, but each time for 6 months. That is to say how different the weather is.
Yeah.
And the fact is, you go through a lot of gloomy periods. What a lot of people don't actually understand coming from the Caribbean is there's something called light deprivation syndrome. When you are used
to having that.
to live in the tropics and you go to societies where you don't get that systemic sunshine, forget about vitamin D. It's not about vitamin D deficiency. It is actually about how your body, your actual entire being reacts to being in that new climate. And so we need to do, and I accept that we have not done it up until this point, and I said to the team, we need to put more counseling and support. When I say counseling, I mean counseling in quotes, telling, making sure young people are prepped. Because a lot of things, you know, we are such a complex being, us as humans. If you go into something eyes wide open, a lot of times you are already well on the way to not having an issue versus going in and not realizing this could be an issue.
No, absolutely, because my daughter went to Leicester, and she graduated last year in November, and she's going back now September for her master's in digital marketing, right? And she's going back to the UK in September, and I know for sure that when I speak with her, since she's been there in college, and when I speak with her, and our interaction has certainly changed. So, in for lack of a better term, I think this program should help kids climatize.
That's it.
And get adjusted.
That's
that's critical because they have to be in the best possible form in order to
perform academically. Because listen, all these programs are rigorous programs, right? Whether in the US, Canada, or the UK. The other thing that myself and Minister Miles' ministry, we came together and are supporting an entity called Cayman Connections. Cayman Connections has now basically taken what used to be the loosely associated Cayman Overseas Students Association.
It's really a good program.
But really upped it, right?
Yeah, I went to it 2 years ago.
They do lots of events. They do local events. They do stuff over there. They do lots of workshops. So what I've said to the team is that we're going to be circling back to them and say to them, look, let us support through you a lot more information, a lot more availability to ensure that all of our students over there are supported the way they need to. Because you are far away from home and you're in a very different climate.
Let me tell you.
So people said to me, but Raul, hold on, you're in Ohio. Ohio gets very cold. Of course, Ohio gets way colder than the UK gets, and on average, much more snow. But it had distinct seasons. So you had a distinct winter, and once winter was over, you had a spring that was so phenomenal, very little rain. You then had a summer that was phenomenal. You then had a fall that was phenomenal. So you didn't get that dreary type of weather that you
On a
can
regular basis.
On a regular basis.
Yeah,
see?
no, absolutely. It's a huge difference, and you're absolutely right, because I've been to that Cayman Connection thing that they do in November every year in the UK, and I can tell you, when I went there, I was pleasantly surprised to see. I didn't even know that those Caymanians were living in the UK.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen them in so long. I said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we live here now." I said, "Okay, that's a great." And a lot of students were there. My daughter. That's why I went to see my daughter. Her and her first cousin. They are all in England, and it was a good opportunity to interact. And I think that's a great program, and they should keep that up.
No, so it's more than that, right?
Building it.
So they are formally registered as a non-profit in the UK. They're formally registered in Cayman as a non-profit. So they are very well organized. If you go into their website
wow.
and you go into their social media platforms, they do great work. They have, last time I checked, they had more than 2,000 plus members and alumni.
Oh wow!
They had testimonials like you wouldn't believe. So it is about ensuring that irrespective of where our children are, and don't get me wrong, I'm not ignoring Canada or the US, because
No.
they do great work with those students as well. But right now we're talking about how we get more Caymanians taking up home fees, because that's what I'm talking about.
That's key.
My message to parents and students are, you kind of got two choices. You're either going to wind up with a relatively high amount, comparatively speaking, of student debt if you go to the US,
Absolutely.
or versus going to the UK. And as you said, your daughter went to Leicester,
Yeah.
fine institution,
Yep.
and therefore scholarship would have covered it.
And she did everything, and I'm gonna tell you, it was a good experience for her, and she liked it, and she's gonna do her masters in London, but doesn't matter. She's still going across the pond to finish up,
And still at universities, that your 30,000 will cover you.
yeah, exactly. So
And that's the key, right? Is how best we can, because I've had a parent call me recently, and they were venting, and I had to say to them, I said, look, if we took the average cost of US universities and the number of students that we still have going to US universities, I estimated I was going to have to increase the budget by multiples of millions of dollars again. And look, the fact is education the most important thing? Yes. But here's what the public has to understand. When I put on my Minister of Finance hat, it's not the only thing.
yeah,
I still have healthcare.
and you got
I still got NGS, 55 and $52 million
and you got
a
find
year.
funding for all of it.
I got HEA too.
Yeah.
It needs $26 million a year.
No, I feel you.
I got seniors who are on permanent financial assistance. I still got Siemens and veterans.
Yeah.
Right? We still got the police to pay. We still got the customs department to pay. We still got the fire department to pay. So listen,
Yeah.
the reality is it's a balancing job, and I think given where we are as a country, I don't think any Caymanian can fairly say that one thing that governments have done successfully well, which is fund scholarships.
Yeah,
I think I think every administration ought
Yeah.
to be have applauded, because we've built on that
Yeah.
systemically over the years, and we've kept funding it to ensure that all of our students
Yeah.
get that assistance.
no,
Because
they've done a tremendous job.
as a country, we can be proud of that.
Yeah,
Very proud of
the
it.
scholarship fund and the scholarship program is on point. They're working, and a lot of kids benefit from it. I can tell you, I've seen them with my own two eyes.
I want to cover one more point, Mario, and I want you to listen to this very, very carefully. Mario, which one of us as humans don't look back when we were growing up and call it the good old days?
Boy, I can't find nobody that don't do that.
We all.
And
We all do, right?
and I would give back anything to have 1 week in high school right now.
Anything.
Yeah,
Anything, okay?
true.
We all look back fondly at our times as good old days. What we have to do, though, when you're in my role, is I have to take my sense of nostalgia out of policy making. I've said this on other platforms, and I'm going to say it on yours. Let me be 110% clear. Coming back to the ministry, here are the 3 gaps that I've quickly identified. The work that I started in early childhood care and education has not been adequately built on. I've just doubled the ECAP, the Early Childhood Assistance Program. was being funded at $900,000. That's what we spent in 2025.
Really?
2026 and 2027, each year, we're going to be spending $2.1 million. Double the funding. Early childhood
Okay.
is the foundation.
It's key. And Michael done a
It
lot of
is
work in
the
that area. you know.
foundation. So the second thing that people are saying to me, Ralston, good, but boy, I remember when we were in high school, we had sixth form. I went through sixth form. Okay,
I remember I didn't go through it.
I was a sixth form student. I wore that blue pants. I wore that white shirt with
Mm.
pride. And I can tell you that when the prior minister, Mr. Roy Borden, took sixth form out of high school, I was a backbench supporter of the government. And you can go to the Hansards. I fought against it back then. When a decision is made and it's 20 plus years gone, there's certain things called the ship has sailed. Here's why I say that. Firstly, because government got out of that business, what has emerged are two of the best sixth form colleges in the world. Not a region. Go to the OES report. Catholic's sixth form is ranked in the top 10%
Right.
in the world. Tell me anything else you know of in Cayman that we can operate at that scale with
Yeah.
those type of limited resources and be ranked in the top 10% in the world.
Yeah.
Very difficult for any small community to do.
Yeah. My daughter went
We've
through that
man-
program, so I know.
We've managed to do it.
Yeah.
So put yourself in my shoes. A child that makes it to sixth form is already doing well and is already on their way to success.
Academically on point.
If I wanted to reintroduce that to high school, here's what I would have to do. I would have to get additional classrooms. That's capital. I'm going to have to get additional teachers. Because, yeah, people could say to you, oh, I can do that. Oh, yes. Everybody could say they can
Yeah.
teach sixth form, but have you taught A levels and got results or not?
Yeah.
I estimate we would have to spend, given how government is constructed, somewhere between $5 and $10 million to
reinstitute that.
reintroduce it. Look at what you then do. The one thing that we lament and we blame the national team administration between 92 and 2004 is when they refused to build new schools. The old system where Catholic and Prep were not in the high school business and their students used to come over and join us in third form and then go
remember
through
that.
sixth form with us. We had a natural integration of public and private students. It happens at high school. So right now, between the two campuses, we have over 100 John Gray and Clifton Hunter High School graduates who are on Catholic and Preps campuses. What
Yeah.
are they doing? Integrating with private school students in a top 10% sixth form college.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. What are we doing now currently with the government students who have
Fully
that
funded.
and they go into the private schools to
That's
get
right.
that sixth form training. Now again, I'll be devil's advocate just for a second.
Sure.
Just out of transparency. So the funds, the subsidiaries that we're given or the funding that we're given to, because obviously the private schools ain't doing it for free for us.
Sure, of course
right?
not.
So we must have funding that's in place in order to pay for these students to partake in their sixth form program. What sort of annual budget that looks like? Like what's the budget for that on an annual basis?
So we're on a right around 1.7 times 1.5. So we're in right around $3.5 million
A year.
a year.
So then one would argue, or one could argue, I say, not one will, but one could argue that if we were to reinstitute, and don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm advocating. I am
Sure.
simply saying that because
But go down the argument because I
So-
want you to complete
right,
this. This is where I
so-
was heading anyway.
right.
Keep going.
So one could have the debate to say, well, okay, if we spending $3 million a year to send our students to the private school, as opposed to spending the additional $10 million to get that program back up and running, I understand that that's a reoccurring cost. That's not no one-time payment because you got to pay the students. you got to pay the teachers every year.
Sure.
And you have to maintain that facility every year.
Sure. So
So that's reoccurring.
that's recurring. However, when I said 5 to 10, of my 5 to 10 estimate, All I had in there was a one-time $5 million for capital. So so $5 million for capital is about what I would have to spend on between Clifton and High and
Right.
on John Gray. $2.5 million building on each. Then I would still have to overlay that with another $5 million in OPEX. You know this as well as I do. The private sector typically delivers what?
Yeah.
More efficient.
They're far more efficient.
Right. So
Unfortunately.
So what we're now paying about $3.5 million for, I estimate between salaries and benefits, because remember the system that we have in government, you have your salary, all healthcare is covered for
Everything.
100%, all pension is covered 100%. All in, we would have to pay about $5 million. So we're saving about $1.5 million.
Yeah.
And our students are integrating.
All right.
Which is, you cannot put a price
And you
on
can't.
that.
And
You can't put a
and
price
that's
on
the
that.
reason I asked the question, because the way you have articulated that, everybody should be able to understand and comprehend that as opposed to spending $5 million reoccurring costs to have our own facility, we can spend less, get the same result, and that word integration is paramount in the survival.
Critically
Because
important.
when we segregated the schools, about foreigners can't come to our school without this and that. That was the biggest mistake we ever made, because
Huge,
again,
huge
we
mistake.
didn't know who these persons were, and the only thing that separated us was a fence.
That's right.
And I remember Richard Flores, my good friend, used to go to prep school and we used to trade sandwiches through the fence. So,
And then all of a sudden he came over.
and then he came over, and Jerome too. Same thing with Jerome. Jerome was in prep school
That's right.
the whole time.
Look, in my ministry,
So,
2 of my old sixth form colleagues are now
Mm-hmm.
senior assistant financial secretaries.
well, you see,
Went to sixth form with me.
listen.
If this was the old system, I would never have met them.
Yeah, exactly. You would never touch it.
Right?
That system worked.
I would if we were to try to go back into that business. So, and here's the other risk. So you've covered the financial risk.
Yeah.
What's the guarantee that we're going to be able to produce a top 10%?
I see. That was the next one I was going to put.
Listen, those two institutions have
Yeah.
built incredible programs.
No, they have. You got
to give them
You got
credit.
to take your hat off to them.
And what we have to do is we have to stop. You know what? In fact, Mara, both of us,
Yeah.
we need to stop saying them, because this is our
Our-
sixth form colleges.
Exactly.
Let me give you an example. Last year, the head boy at prep was a John Gray High School student, dual entry student.
And there you have it, right there. Direct results on the ability of these students once given the opportunity and put in the environment.
He was head boy.
They-
And then on top of that,
Yeah.
let's look at the other. You want evidence? The 2 Cayman scholars, the 2 that get up to the 100,000. There's only 2 of those scholarships that are
Right, right.
Well, it can be up to 2. These 2 young ladies were so neck and neck that we couldn't differentiate.
So you couldn't leave one out.
Right.
So you just covered both.
Ask me what they're doing for dual entry.
Yeah, tell us. 'Cause
One is at prep A level and one is at Catholic
the
A
angle
level.
level. And there you have it. Now, Raleigh, before I forget, and I need to ask you this on air, and it had nothing to do with it got to do with the school. In 1990, well, I should say in 1989,
Okay.
we all did a time capsule, right?
Okay.
To put out in front of the hall that they tore down, right?
Oh,
Now-
yes, I was on campus then. Because
Listen,
I graduated.
That's
in
right.
88.
I
was
remember. I
in
remember
sixth
seeing you
form.
under the tree in sixth form
Yes,
with the
yes.
bougie crowd. I remember.
Yes. Oh, shoot.
Raleigh, I want a time capsule.
It was right in the
right
middle
on that-
where they
Right
there
in
was
the.
right
Remember the little
beside-
roundabout, tees?
There was a little round
Yes.
with the wall. There was a tree in the middle.
That's right, and we put a time capsule in there in 1989 or 1990, one of the two, because we graduated. School was over for us in 90. We had a 1990 class.
That is somewhere where
It's there.
So it would just be on the side of where the new fields are.
It should be right in front of where that new field is, and if we get
Should be somewhere out
if we
there.
get a scanner, we could find that.
Let me take that with the team.
We need that time capsule
Let me take that up with the team.
because it's been 35 years.
I put something in there too.
I can't wait to see what I know it was a CD.
I can't remember what the heck.
but I wrote something on it.
I put something in there as well.
I wrote a note to myself 30 years later, and we
Let me find.
So-
let me ask the team
to
what
research it.
has happened around that.
Yeah, because
that is a very good point.
That's a very. I would love to get that time capsule. I
All
remember.
of us.
Yeah, everybody put something in it. I never forget it. Never forget it.
Yeah, because they did it across years, and I mean,
That's right.
everybody. I mean, yes, and that was such a. I remember that was such a novel thing because I would have been
was.
17, you would have been a little younger than
16.
me. You would have been 16. There you
Yeah.
go. We were both teenagers.
Listen to me,
right?
man.
We were both teenagers, believing we knew all sorts of stuff, and
Yes,
as the
I
old
did.
people say, or as we now say,
And me
if
old-
we only knew if we knew now what we didn't know then.
I told Mr. Fraser, the art teacher, and I loved art. Just didn't get a chance to do a lot of it. I told him one day, I say, I can't wait till my last day I
Remember him.
walk through that
Excellent
gate.
art teacher.
Great art teacher.
Excellent.
I say, I can't wait till my last walk through that gate and never coming back here. And now I wish I could have gone back there in the
We
day.
all do.
Bro, let me
We
tell
all
you.
do. But Mario,
But anyway.
I wanted to arm you with those two very important, like critically important pieces of information.
That's key.
Because let me tell you how invasive some of this thought process is. I have had teachers come and try to convince me that I should put sixth form back.
Really?
And I've said to them, hold on, put yourself in my shoes. Go ask your primary school colleagues how much work we still. No, don't get me wrong. We are miles ahead because of the investment I made back 16 years ago in early childhood care and education. We're miles ahead of where we were back then.
Right.
But the journey is far from complete. So my question to any adult in Cayman, put yourself in my shoes. There's only so much more money the government can allocate to me. I can't get all of the net new funding because every other ministry has hugely important areas.
Responsibilities, yeah.
Let me tell you why I was late today. I was late today because there was a meeting being held between myself, the Minister of Social Development, the Honorable Isaac Rankin, and the Minister of Health, the Honorable Catherine Wilkes,
Right.
talking about children whose behavior is so acute that right now we have to send them overseas and
wow.
trying to come up with an on-island solution for them.
So
That's
that-
what the three of us were collaborating about.
Yeah.
So,
And that's important.
critically important.
Yeah.
So you think that when we look at how we are going to frame the rest of this term, that every bit of excess cash that I'm positive that our budget is going to be able to produce over the next 3 years is all going to come to education? No, some of it's going to
no.
go to that.
Yeah, you have
some of it has to go to youth mental health. Some of it has to go to, we need an elderly care facility.
Yeah.
We see how home health care is growing out of control.
Yeah. That is true.
Right? So it's not like one ministry can just get all of the funding.
Yeah.
So the fact is, limited budget, where should the next money be spent? Finishing the work on the foundation, which we accept in building anything,
Right.
including a human life, is the most important. Or going to the very top of the tree, where those who are performing the very best and moving ahead. So do we then take the next dollars for education and fund a program that is already being delivered at top 10% globally at prep and Catholic
No.
school? Or do we spend that next money
No, we
creating the next sixth form batch of students by fixing early childhood care and education?
absolutely. And I think that we have a system that's obviously working and put our kids in a direct exposure of an institution that is ranked where most schools aren't.
And you mix with the private
And-
school children.
And you have that integration factor that now
The one thing
you're
that-
no longer strangers
That's right.
in the streets.
That's right.
You know, and that right there, my friend, goes a very, very long way. Education can carry you, where you need to be, but that interaction and
Social connections.
that plays a huge
Social
role.
connections.
And
Do you know how many sixth form students that are from prep or Catholic, that are from John Gray or Clifton, are now friends with other students whose father may be a partner at Walker's, mother may be a partner at Price Waterhouse? You would have made those connections otherwise,
no,
because
it-
we were segregated.
absolutely, and
And let's be honest, disproportionately, this is any community, in any community, the vast majority, or the average, let's use a better word, the average person who sends children to private schools are typically financially much better off. Typically.
absolutely.
And that's just a fact.
That's the lay of the land.
Right?
You know?
And so the reality is, we are not only having reintegration happening, we're having social and future business
and
connections
networking because
and networking.
because just like the Ivy League school concept is that if you walk into any institution anywhere in the world and show that you have a degree from Harvard, Princeton, Cambridge, your chances
right.
of landing that job is tremendously higher than the average person walking in with a regular degree. And
That's right.
And that's one of the main reasons why when you make these decisions, you need to be consciously minded of everything. So
That's right.
So granted, we need to educate, and I'm glad we came on with this show, because now I'm better informed on how these systems work. And then now when I hear, and I can tell you, I hear a lot of conversations.
Sure.
Believe me, because everywhere I go, people rely on this show. They tell me, and they ask their own questions. So
Sure.
I feel better equipped now, because that scholarship thing is a huge topic,
Huge.
right? And
hugely important.
And I've had several conversations defending the scholarship office, and the reason why is because I've never once, including you, reached out to the Minister of Education and said, "Hey, here's a child that having a little problem. Can you have a look at this?" And Ms. Julie, she was phenomenal. She looked through, and everybody else before that, and yourself, just recently, last year, I think it was, I had messaged you about somebody that was having problems, and you sorted it out. So it's important that we not only have the opportunity to talk about the topics, but have the correct information, so that
Critically
people,
important.
so people understand what the real thing is. So
Critically important.
let us know if there's anything else that you want to cover. I know your time is pressing.
Today is we're gonna have to do a slightly shorter show.
Yeah.
So I wanted to really cover those two.
Good.
But what I want to do is, when I come back on next time, there are a few topics in the Ministry of Finance
Right.
that
Yeah.
I would want to talk about. By then, I'm going to have what is called my Section 54(6) Ministerial Constitutional Committee set up.
Nice.
That is the one that is going. So one is going to deal with how are we going to reform property and health insurance nationally. It's a conversation we need to have. And it's a big piece of research,
Yeah.
So that is going to involve us having to hire in a really good heavyweight actuarial firm to assist us in mapping out our options. The second, which again, remember that's key economic development.
Right.
How we structure healthcare and property insurance has one of the biggest impacts on cost of living. Think of the average person in the private sector who has a family and two dependents. So a husband and wife and two dependents, what their health insurance deduction is every month.
Yeah, that's.
If you own a home, think of what your property insurance is every month.
No, I can tell you.
A lot of times, I'm not going to try and defend or say that CUC isn't expensive. What I'm saying is there's way more other elements to cost of living that we sometimes ignore.
Right. No, yeah,
That
absolutely.
if you can bring them down, families are much better off. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And energy is always the number one topic to talk about when it comes to cost of living. It is a key factor. You're right. And there's and when we come back on to that next show, here's what I want. Here's what I would request. You see, I've had several conversations with members of the public who have asked me about the increases of certain fees, and I've had to just simply give it high and cut, just high and dry. Look, we have to generate revenue to take care of all of the appropriations government have on an annual basis. I said if you go
Including these scholarships.
I told them exactly. I said you go to the ESO website and you look at government appropriations, you will lose your mind on the amount of appropriations that they have to find money to budget, to put in the budget. So when you hear a person complaining, I said that the same person that when they hit a pothole, they ask why the government don't fix it. But they never ask where the government get the money from to fix it.
That's right.
So we need to be very careful how we speak about these things publicly.
I certainly will be, because we covered that briefly months ago when the budget was hot.
Yep.
I have no
that.
issue revisiting those, because I can say to the world, I feel extremely proud of the fact that we managed to put a budget together where there are very few fees that you can look at and say that will impact the average Caymanian.
Yeah.
The vast majority of our fees have hit accountants, lawyers, professionals, and firms, and the products in financial services that we knew could afford to pay a higher fee for the right to do business and own a Cayman product.
Yeah.
Right? We really concentrated. So, but I have no issue covering those again.
Yeah, I just want people to be
Absolutely. That's no
aware
problem.
and understand it, because a lot of them just see the surface that, oh, government raising
And
fees.
hear the rumors.
Yes, and then they
And hear the rumors, because
Let the
remember, a lot
emotions-
of rumors were put out about this that were false.
listen, the tons of rumors, and,
Okay.
and listen.
So the other thing, the other 54-6 committee
Mm-hmm.
that I think the public will be excited to hear is we are going to also develop a 20-year economic development strategy.
That's key. Plan ahead,
Yeah.
proactive.
Then we're also going to have one that deals with the national priority areas of study. So again, back to education. We're going to define what the top areas for tertiary education are, what the top areas for Tech Voc is,
Yeah,
and I hope by the 28-29 budget that we'll be able to actually push kids toward those by giving those areas of study more than the normal scholarship.
yeah, yeah.
Right now we give education 35,000. I think there's a couple of other areas that we need to give that enhanced funding so that young people clearly connect.
Yeah.
Aha, study this equals a better chance at a high-paying job. And
100% agree.
and then the last one is around the reform of Cayman Development Bank,
Right.
because
Well,
that has been a
Yeah.
hot mess.
It has been
For a long
For a
time.
very long time.
What I can tell, and I want to be clear about this, what I can assure the public is there aren't going to be any loss of jobs.
Yeah.
We have come up with a strategy of how to deliver some critically important services that will utilize a lot of the same skill set.
Yeah.
But I leave that there because I got to
Yeah.
leave the committee to do its work. I'll throw one tease. Remember a couple of weeks ago when we were in Parliament, my colleague, the Honorable J.E. Banks, brought the reform around how banks are able to foreclose.
Foreclosed. Yeah, yeah.
One piece of that legislation requires both sides to get financial counseling.
Really?
So it's a staged process that the bank has to go back and forth with the homeowner.
Right.
If a person's already drowning in debt and is already struggling, how are they going to get financial counseling?
Yeah.
We have skill sets right now at CIDB that could be used as
To do that
to do that sort of
and
work
provide that service.
and provide that
So that
service
the person don't
for
be
free
burdened
to the public.
Yeah, so they don't be burdened with that
That's right.
additional cost.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually a great idea, because I think that where a lot of that goes south is because that communication line is closed.
That's right.
And that person is already suffering because of the financial situation.
That's right.
And obviously
No intermediary
None.
to step in.
nothing.
And so we are going to put together though a very strong committee that is going to then come back to me and recommend how
How
we
you structure it.
reorganize things and,
Yeah.
and how we actually deliver impact.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we know what the write-off rates have been historically.
Boy.
They've been tremendous.
Yes.
And so now we need to pivot as government to ensure that what we're delivering is what the public actually needs.
Yeah.
And what's going to benefit Caymanians.
No, absolutely,
That has to
100%.
be, every government needs to be laser focused. So with that's sort of what I'm looking to do for next time. Before I'll be able to shoot you through the terms of reference so you can have
Yeah,
it.
I can
and then
read-
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
read it, and then we can have an
good-
informed conversation
Yeah,
around
exactly.
those very, very important areas.
Absolutely. And again, we just want to say, and extend our gratitude for you coming on the show and, having these conversations, because again, we don't have the opportunities. Most people don't have the opportunity to come sit in Parliament and listen, and even after that, have some Q&A sort of thing. That don't happen. So you'll get a misinformed or uninformed public, however you want to phrase it. But having the opportunity to come on to these platforms and having a direct conversation, because I can tell you, unless a person hear it out of your mouth, I could say he told me this and she told me that all day
There's
long.
gonna be doubt.
It's going to be some doubt and some level of biasness because of who they think you are or who I think they are, and vice versa. So we are very grateful that you take and Raleigh, you've done a good job of going to all the platforms, and that in itself is a tick in the box of doing what is needed to properly inform. So.
I take
So-
the business, Mario. People will tell you, and you've known me a long time in politics. I have always taken it very, very seriously how you communicate.
Yeah.
We gotta say the same thing in different platforms. We gotta make sure that we give the public every opportunity to be a part of the journey, because this isn't about me as an elected member.
No.
This is about me as a representative of the people of Cayman, of the people of West Bay North.
Yeah.
I now hold the honor to be their voice.
Yeah.
And therefore, if I'm their voice, I have to communicate.
Yeah, you have.
I have to be
That's
able
part-
to
that's
come
part of
back and
territory.
communicate
Yeah.
and say, here is where things are at.
And-
but Mario,
No, I know we ran out of time.
we ran out of time.
And the beauty with having platforms or doing platforms like this is because all those people that ding in your phone that you can't talk to individually, they get to hear information here from a broad,
Absolutely.
you cover a broad area of people. So,
I
Minister,
wanna-
thank you.
Happy Easter to you and your family. I don't know if you all are campers or not, and happy Easter to all of Cayman. That's next week. I want people to stay safe, have a great time. We redid the road up in Barcas because we always have to
I heard
do
about that. I need to go down and check it out.
We have to do that every year because so many people traverse and go up there,
Exactly.
and of course those roads get a lot of potholes that you're referring to.
Yep.
I want to shout out NRA and Minister Ebanks.
Yeah.
The team used some slightly different material this year, and we're hoping it's going to stand up longer. So
yeah.
they used some material that had some, as I understand it from what I saw from when I drove it, already had some asphalt in it. So versus
man.
just putting down marl.
Yeah, they
was a
capped
mix.
it with this mix. I know
was a
the
mix.
stuff you're talking about.
And so we're hoping that we won't have to do it every year as we've had to do for like the last decade.
Yeah.
So happy Easter, happy week. I just want to say to Cayman, let's continue making Cayman the greatest place on earth.
Absolutely. And tune in on Wednesday, which will be around the 7th or the 8th of April, when the minister will be back on to conclude some of the conversations. And if you have any questions, please load them up on the thing, and I'll be happy to pass them on to the minister, and he'll be able to review them, and then he can address them when he'll be back on live. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on Wednesday in April.
We got to break Cerebra up. Cerebra is a cartel.
We have to own our grid because we paid for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it.